Hello friends, this is Odds, and today we mourn the loss of Made for This, a quirky little perk that was only used by about every single survivor out there. It wasn't just a popular perk, jokes aside, it was also really strong. I made a video some time ago arguing why it was a little bit overtuned. So, being strong and being very popular, it was almost inevitable that the developers would nerf this perk. We're going to explain what exactly the nerf will be, what it's going to mean, and whether or not you're going to see this perk anymore. And there's also one very depressing fact about all of this that we'll get into. But first, what is the nerf? As of the next BTV, this perk will receive the following changes. Number one, it will no longer be an exhaustion type perk. You will be able to use this perk whether you're exhausted or not. This is a small buff. The endurance effect from healing someone else while you're injured is still there. That is exactly the same, and it's still a very strong effect. There's only a handful of perks that allow you to tank a hit after healing or recovering, and this is still one of the better ones. So for aggressive, coordinated teams, this perk will still have a place and could still be quite impactful. But it's not going to be quite as universal or beloved as before, because here's the big nerf. The 3% faster haste speed that you got from this perk while being injured is now gone. You only get that effect now if you're in deep wound, if you have to mend. This means that if the killer hits you after the hook, yes, you will get the speed. If you manage to pull off a dead heart, maybe you will be able to use it as well, which is pretty good. You will still see this combo from time to time, but keep in mind that these are two perks that only work after you get unhooked, and if you time your dead heart well against every killer, it's not so easy. So yeah, this is not going to be nearly as useful or as popular as before. It was quite popular before. I saw quite a lot of Dead Heart MFTs. And the most observant among you might also realize that yes, this means that characters like Legion or Deathslinger, which apply Deep Wound regularly with their powers, will be disproportionately affected by this perk. However, keep in mind that for Deathslinger, who has a gun, the 3% extra speed is not a big deal, and even Legion will often injure and let you fix your deep wound before committing to you for optimal management of time. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal for either of these killers, and either way, it's going to be way better than before, so it should not be that big of a problem. Funnily enough, the killer that is most affected by this perk is the Dredge, because he has a perk called Septic Touch, which is already one of the worst perks in the game. Remember that one video where one person played almost 2,000 games and they didn't see a single killer running Septic Touch? Yeah, it's that bad. Well, this perk was at least good at one thing. It used to counter Mate for This, because it would exhaust people around you, and then if they tried to heal, they couldn't get Mate for This. But now Mate for This doesn't work with exhaustion, so it means that the developers nerfed Made for This, but also nerfed Septic Touch, one of the worst killer perks in the game. Is this really worth it? Yes, it absolutely is worth it, and thank God that we're not going to see so many Made for Thises anymore. But for real though, killer players, don't celebrate too early. With Made for This gone, you're going to see more adrenalines, because people will no longer go the whole Made for This hope route. You're going to see more sprint bursts, and you're going to see more lights. And guess what? Those perks are still insane. They are still very strong. And your games might be a bit more pleasant, but they're not going to be that much easier if you were already struggling. That's my prediction, but we'll see what the reality brings and whether or not a new perk comes and eclipses everything and takes the spotlight. So yeah,